What's up, boys? Alright, we're gonna do like a mixture of support builds that you should be doing, or at least what I've been doing, and some supports I enjoy playing right now. So, usually, well, the support builds haven't really changed too much. The main focus kind of right now is what relics you should be going almost every game, and the stuff you can decide between, stuff like that. Um, there's also the gods that you can play. So, I guess I'm just gonna title this video like support discussion for season 9, something like that. So, I've been meaning to make a video like this for a while. I still haven't figured out everything that you can do in support. There's a lot of stuff I've tried and a lot of stuff in my brain I want to try that I still haven't. So, I've more or less have a basic idea of what you can do this season. So I'm hovering on the assassins. By the way, the assassins you can play right now, Fenrir and Serket, are pretty poggies. So if you're trying to carry through the ranked games, those are some good picks. I guess I'll just hover emoji because she's still the best support in the game. If anyone tells you otherwise, they are crazy. But let's see, God Builder. Okay, so I always get asked this question a lot. Whether you're supposed to go Sentinels or Benevolence, and the way you should think about these two, Benevolence is more for your backline supports and supports that aren't really going to be fighting too much in the early game. So that's when you feel better getting Benevolence. So like your Gebs, your Kepris, your Yamojis, you usually want to get this because as a backline support, you're more appealing than engaging and facilitating. While you still can facilitate with a backline support, that's not always their job. That's usually reliant to your jungler and solo laner. But you get Sentinels on like your Ares, your Fenrirs, your Serkets. And I'm not saying you can't go Benevolence on those gods, but the idea is these gods are going to be W keying a lot harder and a lot faster. Those extra prots in the early game are going to help you to do what you're trying to do. So just think of it that way. If you're ever deciding between, do I want Sentinels this game? Do I want Benevolence? So yeah, you're either gonna go these two. The core support build hasn't changed. You really want these items online as soon as possible. Relic Dagger is very good right now, and even with the patch coming up and the 10-second cooldown, it's really only 10 seconds. And it's still going to provide you with all the good stuff, the 350 health, the CDR, the CD. And just 10 seconds off, it's not going to be that crazy. Trust me, it's going to like tone it down a bit, but this item's still going to be pretty good. And here's something that I've seen a lot of people trying to do, and I don't really like. A lot of people are going Breastplate for whatever reason. But I feel this item is way too greedy to have a place in support at the moment. You get a lot more value out of getting like a Pridwin. Like I could understand getting the glyphs, but you really don't want to upgrade this glyph that early on in the game. Like I'd rather put that gold into upgrading your relics. So, if you have like Med or if you have Ankh or the Fortifying Shell, which is definitely one of the relics you want to be getting right now. This kind of just makes your backline unkillable. But we'll discuss relics in a sec. But this item feels way too greedy to get in support. Like if you're really worried about having the cooldown, you're better off getting like a Pridwin in this slot. Because right here you already have 30% CDR. But getting Pridwin this early, if I'm deciding between these two items, I usually switch the Pridwin towards the Relic Dagger. But Relic Dagger just feels like you need it every game because of how great the relics are this season. And let's say you don't go Pridwin, you could go to always like a Sov right here. Or if you need some anti-heal, you got your Pesties, you got your Contagions. Although I always go towards the Pesty. And then right here, you can go like a mantle or a spirit robe. Spirit robe's pretty cheap and provides a lot of good stats. So this is usually what you want. This is a good support build. You could switch between these two. You'll have like 20% cooldown, but you'll be pretty good in terms of utility. You'll be pretty tanky. You could always take out the Sov too and replace this for, like I said, Pridwin, or you can get the new Heart Ward. The Heart Ward is one thing I haven't experimented with too much, but I think most of the time you're gonna want this one instead. The silence is like whatever. It's best on Guardians like that have good chances to auto attack, like your Mirror. It could be fun on Atlas, but this is one of those things where I haven't really fully experimented with. But most of the time I've been going this one just because it converts your physical prots to magic protection, so you just get free magic prots like that. And another item that I feel like you could definitely get is Nemean too. Like instead of the Sov, you could probably push Pesty up one, get the Nemean later. That way you get the full advantage of the prots, and then you could go into a Spirit Robe. Just because also this is cheaper. It's not that expensive of an item. They kind of just like crippled Spectral a bit. So for 100 more gold, you get the 90 prots. It's 90 prots. And you get the block stacks. So, like, the way I see it, and the way some of you can see it, in a way it helps more than Spectral right now because you're blocking the audio attack, so they can't really crit you if you're blocking it. So, don't be afraid to get Nemean in support. It definitely can help. Especially if you're more of a W key god. It definitely can help. Alright, we're going to Relics. Right now, before the nerf, once the nerf happens, you're not really gonna get med anymore. It's probably gonna be a different thing. But at this current moment before the patch, you definitely want med, and you want shell. These two relics, OP. And then for upgrades, you definitely want fortifying. And if we can, where to go? You definitely want. I like this one more, just so you have some free peel off of the relic. This one's good too if you're all inning in a fight and your carries are using abilities. Then you can get them to reset again and then just spam even more abilities. So this one's kind of just dependent. I usually like getting this one just for the ability spam and making sure you can continue the fight. So, but this one's not bad either. This one, if you're playing like more backline support, I definitely like this one. This one's more for like aggros comps, where let's say I'm like an Ares or a Fenrir, then we can just keep going in. I can get another round of abilities and GG. But yeah, these two relics are always your go-to in support. If you're not going med shell, you can always go med into belt. I like going this one because of the 50% attack speed increase. So everyone just kind of starts railing pretty hard. But yeah, this is just the best one in my opinion. You just shred things. And it's probably going to be, like, this is probably what you're going to be going next patch once med is done. And then, obviously, if you need the Ankh, you get the Ankh. This one is your go-to. I don't really like this one. This one, you don't really find value because they can step out of the pool. Whereas this one, it's just, they're all reduced. They take 20% more damage. And the healing comes to your team instead. So this one's pretty insane. This one just outclasses this one to me by so much. So if you're getting Ankh, you definitely want Blighted. Just leave the right one alone. That one has just kind of a bait. But these are probably going to be your main relics. I haven't really experimented with like the other ones like Bracer. I have not touched it yet. Oh, this is actually very fun. I think in some comps, you're running like double ADC, and they have some comps where they can get locked down pretty easily. I think this one is very good. I think the sprint is comp dependent, but I think it definitely can have a lot of big boy plays. And then obviously there's TP, but this thing is sort of getting nerfed. You definitely can abuse it right now and have some fun as a support, just walking around with like Circuit or Fenrir and just ganking everybody on cooldown, stealing buffs, stealing the obelisk. So this is something I haven't tried yet, but I've seen people doing. One more thing. If you feel, because I know some people tend to like going damage and support, don't be afraid to grab either a Divine Ruin or even a Deso, because these items go poggers right now pretty hard because the flat pin got buffed. Usually Divine's pretty good just because it's cost efficient, and yeah, pretty much because it's cost efficient and it does really good damage on supports or guardians in general. It just feels really nice. I mean, you could always go Deso too for the cooldown, but Divine isn't bad either. Just so you can have some anti-heal and some damage to carry through support potentially. I think there's potential to have Voidstone and support, but I feel like that's more god dependent. Oh, one more thing actually, because I remember this item's getting buffed. So I think definitely you're gonna see a lot more Stone of Binding next patch. I don't remember if it's this week coming up that the Stone of Binding buff is happening, but you might see some more gods like Bracken, Bacchus, Ymir maybe come back a little bit because of the Stone of Binding, because you're gonna have a little bit more extra prots, so it won't feel as bad. I mean, it feels okay right now. It's not terrible, but you're not gonna feel as bad having the Stone of Binding versus to a support that goes the traditional Gauntlet start. So, because usually you do Stone of Binding into Gauntlet or you do Gauntlet into Binding, so it's not gonna feel as bad doing either route because of the added protections on top of this. Because I think it's just the prots. I don't remember if they added magical power too, but it'll feel a lot better just having all that extra prot in the early game. It'll just feel weird because you won't get much health, but you should feel pretty good building this next patch. So that's something to keep in mind. Alright, as for now, we move on to the gods section. Obviously, Umoja, the best support of the game, just has everything in her kit you want to support. Displacement, great team fight, peel, healing, and yeah, you should be playing her, getting to get used to her, get comfortable with her, because she will carry teams just because of one good ult. It's really all you need with Umoja. You have one good ult, you just win the fight. Building her, like I said earlier, you go Benevolence into a Gauntlet. Now with her, you could vary here. You could go into a Lotus Crown if you feel actually, I mean, Lotus just feels great on her. I mean, they did nerf it a bit, but emoji heals just are super annoying to deal with. But you could do Lotus Crown. I know I said you should probably always be going Relic Dagger on her, but usually here I go into a Pridwin just so I can get that full 20% cooldown. And then right here it can open up to whatever you want. You could go Nemia in here if you want, then into like a Spirit Robe, or if you need some more magic defense, you definitely could go like a Heart Ward, or yeah, pretty much just Heart Ward here. You really need like magic defense and you're that concerned about their mage, which you should be kinda, because you know their flat pin is going very hard right now. But you can change these up for sure into, like, if you don't need the Heart Ward, you definitely could go into Sov. Like, that's not bad either. Anti-heal option usually is always Pesty. Oh, that's what I should have said. If you need magic defense, usually Pesty isn't bad. There's always some type of healing in the game, so the Pesty will always come in handy. But yeah, this is usually the build you go. You don't want to go the Lotus Crown. you can go that other build that I mentioned, Relic Dagger, other stuff, and you're Gucci. All right. All right. Let's get into some assassins actually, because some people might be wondering. Fenrir being one of the best assassins to play support. This guy is one that you go first item. You go into Gauntlet. Now you could go into either a Sledge here. If you're trying more to pump stomp and just abuse their carries, you could go Rune Forge. Doesn't feel that bad. It feels pretty good on people that like to W key because you do a lot of damage, especially because if you root somebody, not root, but stun them off your jump, and you brutalize them, you kind of just delete them. But in more of like a serious comp setting, you probably want Sledge over the Rune Forge because the Sledge won't feel as punishing as you only having Rune Forge, whereas Sledge can give you prots. But these are usually build routes. You definitely want Pridwin on Fenrir. Like this item kind of just feels like a must on him, just so you can have the Ragnarok way up more, and so you can get the free Pridwin proc off the ult damage. And then here you honestly could just mess around. You could get another Salve, you could get Anemia, just so while you're ulting them, you don't have to worry about somebody like autoing you to death. Sometimes if you feel you need the damage, I've found some success in the Jotuns just for the cooldown. You could, oops, I accidentally exited out. You can do Jotuns, you can get a Brawlers if you need it, just so you can get some damage and anti-heal. These are definitely some fun items. This is more for the cooldown, this is more for the anti-heal, but this one also has 50 power, while this has 45. So you can choose between the two, it's up to you. And everything else remains the same. You can get a Spirit Robe here, or a Mantle. Usually the Mantle probably feels better when you're playing someone like Fenrir, who likes to dive in. That way you just don't get fully committed on without being punished. So you can choose between the two. Mantle feels nice. And yeah, this is the build. Relics remain the same. With Relics, you can play between the Med or the Blink. These items do not feel bad at all. Just so you have some sort of engage to maybe like get a dash out, scare them for some beads. And especially if you're the main engage, Blink doesn't feel bad, but everything else is kind of the same. I like going Belt on him, just so you can really pick someone off, delete them, because you are having to full commit as Fenrir. So these are great choices. You could always go Shell too, if you're looking to peel more. But I feel like Belt is just the better option on Fenrir, just because of the way he wants to play. He wants to pick someone off. He wants to get in the fight. He's not the best peel support, so I think the Belt just favors him more than the Shell. And you could always switch the Med and the Shell, but just know that if the other support has Med and you have Shell, they're probably going to have a lot easier laning into you because they have the heals and you don't. So it's just something you always have to keep in mind when you're deciding between these relics, that it might change the way you have to play the game. And then, Serket's another one. Serket's about the same thing, except with her, you could decide between Benevolence and Sentinels. She doesn't feel bad with Benevolence. It's definitely an option. Builds roughly the same, except actually I would not get Sledge on her like that right away. I'd rather get into that Pridwin second item, Pridwin or Relic Dagger, just to get that CDR up. You'll see with these assassins, you want to get the CDR right away, because that way you have your ult up, you have your abilities up more, you could spam, be annoying. You still have the good scaling as they are assassins, so you could potentially solo their carries. Another thing that's pretty good on her is the Rune Forge also. The same situation with Fenrir. You get like a good stun or a good taunt with her. You do damage. Very, very good damage. So, something to consider. but it'd be the same situation with if you want some damage, you can go between the Sledge or the Rune Forge. Sledge is cheaper, but Rune Forge will probably give you some good damage. But everything remains the same. You have your Sov, you have your Pesty, you have your Nemean. I do feel that Nemean is something you can use in support right now, as just to make the hunter not play the game. But yeah, those are 3 gods that you definitely should be playing right now. I guess I'll say more Guardians. Atlas. I think Atlas is someone that's slept on right now. I think people undervalue him. I only say this because he's more of a god that you want to, like, not just pick right away. It's kind of something you need to play around. He's not your Yamoja, where you could just place her in anything and she'll be fine. So, I want to get CDR very early on this man. I think he does well with Benevolence. I've tried both, but I think Benevolence is the way to go. He's gonna be like these assassins. You want the cooldown very, very early. I'm gonna say this once again. This I don't think Breastplate has a place in support at the moment. This item is too greedy. The Prid one will give you a lot more in terms of the value, because scales on your prots, it scales. You're gonna have the Thebes into Pridwin. You're gonna get the cooldown, whereas this kind of just only gives you like mana prots. It's very greedy of an item, and for the cost, I'd rather go towards a Pridwin. Save that 100 gold. But yeah, and then right here you could do the same thing. You could go Relic Dagger if you want second. You could switch these two between each other. Just know that you're not gonna have too many prots. You're gonna have a lot of prots, but you're gonna have a lot of health, so you won't have to worry too much until they start getting some health destruction items. Relics remain the same, and you'll just see like a common thing here: med until med is nerfed. Then you're gonna switch to Shell Belt or Shell Ankh. It really just depends on the game. Even Sprint in some scenarios. And what was I looking for? Oh, Atlas. Definitely you could go some damage if you want here. You can go the Deso or the... Even in some games you could go Magus too. Now that I think about it, Magus isn't that bad on him. And it's also like 50 gold cheaper. But you can choose between any flat pen item because they just do a lot of damage right now. And for the pen. So, really up to you. Honestly, now that I think about it, you might want between these two. Depending on how the game is going, you could definitely go one of these two. And then everything else remains the same. You guys get the idea. But these are the gods. I'll mention one more that I think could definitely be good. Terra. Terra's another good god that I feel most people don't play her. Haven't really, like, she's not really broken, but she's also pretty good. You could always do Lotus Crown on her as well, just for the healing from her 3 and her ult. Relics remain the same. The build is similar to Yamoja build, where you can get Lotus into like Pridwin. This usually feels pretty good. Just so you have some prots coming off of Lotus, Thebes, and then you got your Pridwin to top it all off. If you find that you need some anti-heal, Pesty's an option, and it gives you some magic defense, which is nice. So, and then you got Nemean, Spirit Robe to finalize the builds, maybe a Mantle because you're gonna be getting in there as Terra. And Relics, Med, Shell, Med, what else did I say? Belt or Ankh if very, very needed. But yeah, so I think that's all I really have to say. Obviously, I'm not the end all be all. These are just some of the thoughts I've had of the support so far. I don't think I kind of want to make a tier list, but I'm not so sure. I don't think I've played enough of the supports yet to really do that. But I could do like a top 5 if that's something you guys would really like. But other than that, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed this sort of video. I can try and do more of this. I haven't really done more like support guide stuff in a while. I've been slacking a bit, so sorry about that. But we'll try to get back in it. And let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you're trying, your opinions. Let me know what you think of my thoughts. Add to the discussion, of course. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, it's been Pabs. Goodbye.